Well, good morning and hello and welcome to the Church Office podcast. My name is Gavin Smith and it's a joy to welcome you today to our Admin and Ops podcast. We love talking about the work of ministry behind the scenes, and we get pastors listening, we get admin and ops people listening, and a bunch of people who are just serving churches in lots of different ministries. So thank you so much for listening to the podcast. And we've got a special guest on today, Pelé. Pelé, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, very well. Thank you for having me on the podcast. Really excited.
It's great to have him on, and we're excited to have Pelé on. And he's going to fill us in. Pelé's from All Souls Church in London, and we're looking to just hear a little bit about his work and church and life, which will be fantastic. Before we jump into our conversation, then let me just do a big shout out to our sponsors at Church Suite. A big thank you to Gavin and the team who have kindly got behind the podcast to support the ministry and to really encourage people in this area of administration and operations. So if you've not come across their software, then please check them out at churchsuite.com. It's a brilliant piece of software that will serve you and your churches in so many different ways. And it is scalable and it's useful. It'll help you with rotas and teams and communications. There's a whole bunch of stuff that this does. We use it at our church and it's fantastic. So please check it out. Pelé, great to have you on, my friend. And thank you so much for doing this.
Pleasure.
It's good to have you. Well, now, Pelé and I met at a conference in London called the Reach Conference, and you were one of our speakers, one of our kind of TED Talk moments, and I absolutely loved you. It was great.
Oh, that's very kind. I was terrified. I wasn't know what to expect, and then I walked in and saw the caliber of the room, and I thought, "Oh gosh, what on earth am I doing here?"
So, Pelé, tell us a little bit about you and the church there in London.
Yeah, so I'm on the ministry team here at All Souls. All Souls, many people may be familiar with All Souls. And it's known quite widely around the world, mainly because of its history. Our previous rector, one of them was John Stott, so a hugely influential preacher and pastor and author. But also we have a very iconic looking building that appears on the BBC News every single day, in fact. So we're right at the top of Regent Street, and it was John Nash's little tool to deal with a kink in the road. So in some ways, all of Regent Street, all the architecture builds up to this cherry on the top, which is All Souls. And we're sat right in front of BBC Broadcasting House. So the building is known by lots of people in the local area, and lots of people might be familiar with it, but actually lots of people don't come through the front doors. So part of my job is to really get people, non-believers, to come through our doors and hear the good news. So I'm part of a quite big team here. We've got a big ministry team and operations team, and of course we've got a fantastic church family that really are that serve behind all of what we do to keep everything going.
Yeah, that sounds great. And how long have you been on staff, Pelé?
So I've been on staff. I started actually as a ministry trainee, and I think that's coming up to 9 years ago, 9 years or 8 or 9 years ago. But this was actually my church family before I did that. I came to All Souls as a student, and so I was here during my student days. I had 2.5 years in Singapore, but came back to London, and this was my church, and ended up being a ministry trainee.
Mate, that's superb, and it's superb. And at the Reach conference, you were sharing a little bit about free English classes, and that's kind of falls under your sort of remit at the church. And mate, I was just thrilled with your heart to reach out to the lost, and your this desire in you to say, right, how do we introduce people to Jesus, and some of the ministry ideas, and just some of the quality of the work that happens at All Souls is tremendous. I mean, we were talking before, and you were saying, we've already planned our Christmas program for this year. And I love that. I don't even think I've started thinking about Christmas.
Well, you're behind. You're behind. The best time to plan Christmas is in January. It's fresh in your mind what went wrong and what went well. But that's very kind of you. And really, that's just the Lord working at my heart. Because I've got a bit of a confession. When I signed up to be a ministry trainee here at All Souls, I was sat in the congregation and I heard the notice that, come and be a ministry trainee. And I turned to my wife. I said, "Oh, well, if I could relive my life again, I would have wanted to do that." And she said, "Oh, you're all the talk, but you never walk the walk." I said, "Fine." So I emailed the minister and I said, "Oh, I'm interested in being a ministry trainee. What would it involve? I'd like to do it with students because that's what I knew at the church really well." And they got back to me and said, "Oh, we're looking for someone to do children." And I said to them, "Oh, that's not me. I don't do So I was like, "See, I tried." Then the next day I got an email back saying, "Oh, actually, our student ministry trainees have just pulled out. Would you like to be interviewed?" And I was like, "Oh, actually, I wasn't that serious about it." And then eventually they persuaded me to use the interview process to discern whether I should do it or not. And I think I agreed to do it very last minute. And it was going to be with students, and I was going to go and meet the student minister, who I knew well but hadn't seen for a few years because we'd been overseas. And going into that meeting, she said, "Oh, bring Natasha as well. It'd be good to catch up with her." I said to my wife, "The one thing I don't want to have anything to do with is the English teaching program. I just don't know why they do it. I don't have any skills to contribute to that at all. I'm dyslexic." And so I just wanted nothing to do with it. We sit down and she says, "I'd really like your help on Friday nights where we do our evangelistic event and our English teaching program." And I was like, "Oh no, Lord, what have you made me do? I've just signed up for this year." And so I actually started being a bit begruntled. I sort of looked at this room. I thought, all this effort is going on to serve 12 people in the room. And it was part of our then student ministry. But those 12 people coming, none of them were actually students. They were all working. And so I was like, "I'm here to reach students. Why are we doing this?" It's where it started. So that's my confession.
So tell us a bit about this project then, because what you shared at the Reach conference was just so inspiring. I know you've had loads of different contacts come to you afterwards, because lots of churches do consider this as a ministry to reach out into the community, and we're seeing a greater ethnic diversity coming to lots of larger cities, and even in Newport, where we are in South Wales, there's a whole bunch of people, refugees coming in, and you're thinking, right, actually, is this a ministry that we need to really consider? So fill us in a little bit from, because you've gone from sort of 12 people to a ministry that's quite significant now in the church life.
So really, you're right. We stayed focused on those 12 people, and we went from 4 months. We took a month off for Easter break. So in the 3 months of running our now free English classes, from the sort of a reboot that we did and a rebrand, we went from 12 people to over 80 every single week. Now we have over 100 every week. If we have enough volunteers, we can get up to 150, even close to 200. Wow. We're now at the point where we will turn students away once we reach capacity. And really what the Lord was doing is saying, "Yeah, Pelé, you have no idea what you're doing when it comes to teaching English, but actually that's not what it needs right now." We had a good foundation of members of our church family who were good at teaching English, but it needed someone to really help lead it and think differently about how we were going to reach people. And so then we were just focusing on what we were doing, but the changes that we made, we've actually grown and grown, and we thought, actually, why keep this all to ourselves? Let's make this available for other churches. And that again started because other churches started getting in touch with us, saying, "We've heard what's going on at All Souls with English classes. We'd like to do the same. Can you help?" And so it's gradually got bigger and bigger. But like you say, in the UK, we are just seeing so many people in every corner of the United Kingdom that need English language lessons. And so I think it was the 2001 census reported that it was over 800,000 people couldn't speak English well, and it was like 160,000 could not speak English at all. And that's such a great need. And the census was only England and Wales. So who knows what's going on in Scotland? But the idea is that there are people all around this country that we can help and show Christ-like love to. And again, I think I said this at the conference, these are a group of people that are often educated, big thinkers. They want hope, but if they came to our church service or a Bible study, they just would struggle to follow. So how do we then reach this huge number of people who are living in our local communities with the gospel when they don't understand our Sunday sermons? So the opportunity is huge. And like you said, there are different opportunities coming through with refugees. And we have a very no questions asked policy at our English classes. So only if people disclose information about where they're from, we will find. So we know that some people are probably in the country illegally. We have students who have crossed the channel in a dinghy. We've got our youngest. We've got one student that comes who's in primary school with parents. We've had a 92-year-old come. Wow. So huge variety of students that are coming. So the opportunity, is massive.
It's huge. I love that. I love that. So tell me some of the steps that you brought, because you've brought this change of thinking, this strategy, this leadership, if you like. And then maybe people listening to the podcast thinking, gosh, I would never see myself doing that job in our church. But actually, you're saying something quite different here, aren't you? Because you've got people who can teach English in the church. That's right. But what you've brought is something different. And tell me a bit about what you did to make this work.
So one of the first things that I suppose I did was I tried to think like our target audience. So I'm not our target audience. I'm British, born in the UK. My English is my first language. I'm a Christian. I'm not who we're trying to reach. And the truth is, like, All Souls did not come up with an original idea to let's start English classes. Churches around the world have been doing this for years, and probably much better at us than doing it. I'm sure. But what we did is, like I said, our English classes then was part of our student ministry, which was called One Students. And that made lots of sense to the student ministry. We were merging our international students and our UK student sort of ministry together, making one student ministry. And we wanted to be one in Christ. So that made a huge amount of sense to the student ministry. And we'd have one Bible studies. And so we had one English lessons. But I was just thinking, actually, if you're not a student, you're not really interested in what one is. If you're learning English, one English lessons was terrible English. So what are we saying about ourselves when we say, oh, we're one English lessons? And again, it made sense for what was going on. But if we were trying to reach our target audience, which we were kind of saying anyone that needs to learn English can come along, what would they be searching for? So what's our unique selling point? Well, when we look at everywhere else you can learn English, what's unique about us is that we were free. We're in the centre of London. There are language schools all around us. And so we realized, okay, we're free. And actually, if we want to show Christ-like love, actually offering it for free would be a really great way of saying, look, we can do this for you for nothing. And so it became obvious that what we should do is rename ourselves to Free English Classes. I mean, like, it's so obvious. It does what it says on the tin. But at the time, I was kind of new to the team, and we had a team of people who'd been serving for a long time. There was hesitation, put it that way. There was like, well, there's no meaning to Free English Classes. It just sounds, cold and simple. We're more than just English classes. We're telling people the gospel. So should we call it, living English? Or, All Souls has sort of, through John Stott, has pioneered things like Langham Partnership and Langham Arts. So should we be called Langham English? Well, again, Langham, great, talks about our location and our shared network, but means nothing to a non-English speaker. My personal favorite was Full English. I thought, oh, that's great. We could, you get a full English experience. We could do a logo with, egg and bacon and whatever. And I also thought it was funny. But again, it wasn't for me. It wasn't for my students. And so we were trying to persuade them. And then I found that freeenglishclasses.co.uk was an available domain. So I just bought it. I was like,
I love that.
I've got approval, but let's just go for it. Some of the other names were like English for Life. So that sounds a bit, national party sort of thing. So let's just be careful. So we've got Free English Classes. Again, we got the website, we got the domain name. And again, that was just thinking, look, if you are here in London and you don't speak English, what are you going to be Googling? You're going to be Googling free English classes for free. So if we can be straight up there, free English classes, that would really help us. So the first thing we did was change the name. And part of that was looking at our brand. And again, we wanted to be better than the local English language school that you would pay for. So if you go in there, you might get an unfriendly welcome from a receptionist who might just be a bit fed up, and you might arrive, you have to pay for your coffee at a coffee machine. You might have a chair with one of those flipping sort of like an exam test. You might have to bring your own stationery and things like that. I thought, well, how can we be better? Let's focus on our hospitality. Let's make sure people are welcomed really well. Let's set the room up like shared office space. So let's put a box right in the middle of the table. Let's put some glasses in there and a glass bottle. Again, why we put the water on the middle of the table is because we realized people kept getting up and going to get water. So it would kind of disrupt the class. Whereas if the water was there for them, it was actually, it helped the class. And then we thought, well, actually, we a bunch of amateurs in a church hall running English classes. How do we feel more? How do we feel like our standard is better? And that's where our brand came in. So having a logo that I've got one here actually, like making sure all the teams sort of are wearing neat lanyards and match the same color that the flyer. So again, if you're nervous coming into a church, your flyer, your blue flyer, your poster outside, the team's person saying hello, is all the same brand. So it gives them the confidence of, yes, you are in the right place. And the truth is, like, they'd be like, why is English classes happening in a church? So you've got to kind of get over this barrier where people would be pretty nervous about coming into church for English classes. But suddenly having a brand really helped our welcome. Because people knew they were in the right place. Again, this carried on. So on the whether I've got it here, I don't know. But on our tables, we sort of branded our pens. So we had, again, the blue pens, free English classes, because we want people to take them away, because who knows who's going to discover from reading, free English classes, that's interesting. So our brand was a big part of that. And what we wanted to do, and I'm starting to talk about it, is set really high standards. So how can our experience be as good as possible, so that when people finish the class, they might ask us, why do you do this? Because if they ask us, why do you do this? It's kind of like an open goal to tell them about Jesus. So we refined our brand and we started to set really high standards.
Yeah, I think that's excellent, isn't it? And you can apply those skills to any kind of ministry, can't you, that you're starting, isn't it? I love the way that you're putting yourself in their shoes, thinking, right, what is it going to be like? How do you bring that confidence to come in? How do you bring that safety? How do you make it feel like, okay, I'm in the right place? I love all that, and how you then deliver it is, we want people to experience something different with us, don't we? Which is gospel-like, which is Christ-like, where they get welcomed, that they're cared for well. All of those things are great. And, I love that. If you're thinking about a new ministry, Googling the free English classes.co.uk and it's available, you think, this is amazing. I love that. I love that little story. And the website is great. And there's a simplicity about it, isn't it? But there's a quality about it, which is great.
Yeah. And again, even with our website, we were trying to, how do we, if you don't speak English, a website full of text isn't going to help you. So images, basically, images tell a story. And so, again, what we try and do is have photos of the experience at the church, so people know what to expect, so nothing is a surprise for them. And again, we tested it, it works, but I hope it works well. But the idea is that the website should auto-translate to whatever device, the language on the device. So if you speak French and your phone is in French, all our text should turn up in French, making it as easy for them as possible to find. And again, not just having loads of text, using icons and things like that really, again, help who we're trying to reach. And you like picked up on it there, like these are things that aren't exclusive to free English classes. Our other ministries can benefit through this. So like you mentioned that we're planning Christmas already. Again, we're in the middle of the West End. We have people sleeping on our steps who are in situations where they don't have homes, but we've also got one of the grandest 5-star hotels opposite us. We're a huge sort of diversity in the type of people. And actually the setting high standards really helps us to actually include everyone. So we're talking about our carol services. So one of the things that we do is our Christmas cards are actually our invitations to the details of all our different carol services, but we put them into a Christmas card. And actually when we do this like really well, I'm not sure whether you can see there.
Yeah, that's great.
A little Christmas card, but printed on great paper, put in a really nice envelope. But when we do that, and our team goes and gives it to someone on the steps with their name written in it, we can say, look, you are welcome to this. This is a wonderful event and we want you there. But again, because that's a high standard quality, a high quality standard, that speaks to that person. But also the same card, we can go over the roads to the Langham Hotel and say, look, here are a huge bunch. If anyone asks about carol services, they will see, oh, wow, this speaks to us. And again, I don't know whether you can see our design is that's Regent Street with our singers at Oxford Street, Oxford Circus, and then the angel lights. And then you go up the road and you see the church, and then you come through, and that's inside the big musical. So again,
that is so well put together, Bert. That is class.
Yeah, and we did a funny thing. In fact, I'm not sure you can see out the window, but we look out to BBC Radio London. Yeah. And I was once doing an interview about promoting our carol services with Vanessa Feltz.
Okay.
And she said something. So if you want to come to a carol service, how do you find out about it? I was there on the radio and I was like, you need to go to allsouls.org/Christmas. And I thought, no one is going to remember that. allsouls.org/Christmas. And most people confuse us for All Saints or something. Look, what I really want to do is just say, go to carolservice.com. And then I was like, oh. And we had a little look, is it available? And carolservice.com was available. So then it's the same thing for Christmas.
Yeah.
We've now got a Christmas website. So all our Christmas marketing is carolservice.com. So now when we got listed on Time Out or in the Evening Standard or whatever it might be, that they say go to All Souls Carols, carolservice.com. And that helps the person we're trying to reach. So someone who's looking for something fun to do at Christmas. Let's go and drink mulled wine, sing some carols in London and see the lights. Oh, let's go to carol service. Suddenly we're up at the top. Carol service, because we are thinking about the target audience.
I think that's such a helpful takeaway for people who are listening to the podcast. Just raising that bar of quality excellence, just taking the time just to think through what are we trying to do, who's our target market, how do we reach them effectively, what are the resources that we need, and how can we position all of that? How do we communicate? What are we communicating? Is outstanding. And you were saying there's something like 14,000 people will come to your carol service.
Yeah, that's right.
December, that's mental.
40. I know. Well, our building only holds around 700 to 800 people. We do back-to-back carol service in and out, so we're a big factory of carol services. So.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question about, mate, this is great. And people have loads to talk about and take away from this podcast. Tell me about how you've then sort of integrated people from the free English classes into the church, and how you're sharing the gospel in that. Fill us in on that little bit of detail.
Yeah. Well, one thing that we haven't spoken about yet is our worksheets. And let me just talk about that first.
Yeah, let's do that.
That will kind of be a bridge to that. So one of the other things that we wanted to do to make it sustainable, because I would fear that some of your listeners might think, oh, All Souls, big church, central London, they've got all the resources.
Yeah.
We're incredibly blessed with lots of resources, but we're a big church, big ministry. So it means you get much smaller pieces of a pie because it's shared. So we're often competing amongst ministries for attention and resources. So big church, bigger problems. That's what I say. Actually, we were able to achieve a lot on very small amounts of resources and really servant-hearted teams. But our worksheets are designed to basically keep it simple for our volunteers, because we want our volunteers to go to church on Sunday. We want them to be part of we call them life groups. You might call them cell groups, Bible study, fellowship groups. We want them to commit to that. We want them to come to our monthly prayer meetings, and we want them to serve somewhere. So suddenly we're consuming our church family's life, because we also want them to be a witness in their workplace or at their home, or spend time with non-Christians as well. So we're demanding quite a lot. So the idea that you might be working 9 to 5, then you've got to come and teach English. We thought if we can prepare worksheets where the teachers have all their answers on one copy, but the students have got a identical copy but without the answers, same page numbers, so you don't get confused, and you don't have to, it's on page 7 of mine, but it'd be page 9 of yours. We work really hard, keep it simple, keep the format of the lesson really simple as well, and keep it structure the same. It just means that our teachers can come and jump straight in. Now, obviously, it's great to have a little read through and do prep, but it means if you are busy, you can almost teach English with no English teaching qualification and very little prep. And so, again, our worksheets help us do that. And so we've written an entire year's worth of curriculum at basic, beginner, and intermediate levels. And that's been a huge resource. But one thing we do, we're really careful not to do bait and switch evangelism. So we don't want to say, look at us, we do free English classes, and you come out and actually we're going to teach you the Bible or use a parable to teach you English. We teach on secular topics. However, we have a secular topic with a gospel theme. And so during the class, so we run our classes for an hour and a half. During an hour and a half, we will teach on that secular topic. I think this week it will be on football, but other ones we've done is like, the world's longest running musical. And so we'll do a lesson on Theatreland in the West End and looking at Les Mis, the musical, and then a focus on the scene of the Bishop's Candlestick. So that will be, the class will be a secular topic, and there might be questions. We go to the theatre, or you go to the theatre, or whatever it might be. And so there'll be content there. But we have a back page to our worksheet, which is like our gospel linking page. And so this is not covered in our hour and a half. This happens after the class is finished, when we turn more into sort of a cafe where people can have a meal, have a drink, the lights are lowered. And this is where we just love people, talk to them. And that's our opportunity to tell them who we are, what we're about, and tell them the gospel. So we have a page at the back, for instance, the one on the West End, on the musical, it talks about the theme of forgiveness. So then we've got this back sheet where I'll ask some deeper questions about forgiveness, and I'll have a few Bible texts. So again, we help our volunteers. We give them all the information they need to start a conversation, which is not just out of the blue. The class. Do you think you can be forgiven? But actually, we've helped basically tie it in with the topic, so the conversations can be natural. So that's what we do on the Friday nights. So we teach them English. After the class is finished, we show them the exit. That's a really important part of we don't do bait and switch. If you want to go, you can free to go. But if you're going to stay, we want to talk to you. We want to find out about you. But we also want to share our lives as well. And so we equip our teams with like lots of different Bible sharing tools, and people will have their favorites that they like to use. We love to use John chapter 1 through the Word one-to-one. Again, helpful tool. Just we tell the team we just want to become holy page turners of the Bible. Just let them read God's Word. And what's lovely about John, the Word one-to-one, is each verse, they just do a couple of verses at a time, and they have your notes helping you explain it. So being in central London, we'll have people that come and they're only here for maybe 2 weeks, because I'll go to London for 2 weeks, improve my English, and then fly back. So we've only got maybe 2 Fridays. That might only be 2 hours where we can. So if we can give them John the Word one-to-one, and they can read John chapter 1 for themselves, and there are notes to help them, that's great. But we equip our team to read that through with them.
Brilliant. Yeah, I love that. And you must have some success stories where people have got saved and have joined the church. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, again, doing our English classes in our church building is really important, because again, it gets people comfortable in the church environment.
Yeah, that's good.
It's not unfamiliar the first time they come along with us on a Sunday service. So it's still a struggle for us. We bring people along to our Sunday services. A lot of it will just go straight over their head. So sometimes we encourage our team, don't worry if you end up talking to someone during the service and trying to explain what's being said. But again, also just community after the service. Come to church, and then afterwards we all go to the pub. Come and join us. Be part of our community. And that's where we have more conversations. We had a baptism Sunday a couple of weeks ago, and we had a student who came to faith through free English classes. It was just absolutely fantastic.
Tremendous. Yeah.
I think St Ebbe's in Oxford, they opened in, I think, October. And the reason for them wanting to refresh, they had an English conversation course, and it was doing relatively well. But they were it was during the sort of lots of Ukrainians coming over, so they had lots of Ukrainians joining their church, and Ukrainians in the city, and so they wanted to run free English classes like we do. So we helped them, we sorted them out, and they opened in October. And I think by December they had, I think I may be getting my facts wrong here, but I think it was a Ukrainian lady that joined in October. And in December, she wanted to be baptized, and she wanted to be baptized on Christmas Day. So the ministry team at St Ebbe's were telling me how wonderful it was to have a baptism on Christmas Day. No one could sort of recall a time when they had a baptism on Christmas Day. So it's fantastic. I think I spoke to them, and they have over 50 people coming to their English classes. I think English classes in Edinburgh as well. They have, I think I heard, like 80 students coming across their 2 classes. So again, it is showing Christ-like love in the way that we do English classes really well. We serve them really well. But also when they know that you're volunteers, giving up your time, you just want to do what 1 Peter 3 says. Always be prepared to give an answer for the hope that you have. Do it with gentleness and respect. Let's walk alongside these people. Let's invite them to our homes. Let's have a group of them for dinner, and really invest in them. And again, there are some people that we just have to sow seeds. They're here for 1 week and they're gone. And we continue to pray that those seeds fall on good soil. We've got all sorts of situations, but again, we prepare our team and we try and equip them with lots of different tools, but also recognize that they will have their different ways that they love. So we've got a chap pretty much every Friday. He will be doing Bridge to Life with someone, which is just wonderful. Others like to befriend them and invite them to Christianity Explored. In fact, we're one of the largest tables at our Christianity Explored because so many people are coming in from free English classes. So yeah, it's got guys at work in this country serving lots of churches by offering free English classes and really pointing people to the gospel.
Mate, This is why I wanted to get you on the podcast, because I just your enthusiasm for it, but your enthusiasm to take the good news of Jesus out there is infectious. And whether it's English classes, youth work, children's work, whatever it is, your heart and disposition to love the lost and to serve the lost is wonderful. Tell me how, if someone's listening to the podcast, how they can connect with you and just, there's loads of things they can pick up from this, but if they want to find out more, what's the best contact and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's right. And some of your listeners may be part of a church that already runs something like an English language course or conversation or iCafe or things like that. And maybe you want to revamp it and make it more formal and make more of a formal teaching program. And free English classes, we are happy to set up free English classes across the UK and in fact across the world. We've got a few churches in Paris and Prague interested as well. Or maybe you're a church that has seen the need. Like you said, there are lots of refugees in your local town, or people that you'd love to reach and you just can't because you don't speak English. So this might be a new opportunity for you. And again, if you go to freeenglishclasses.org/open, you'll find a hidden page which gives us a little more information about if you wanted to open free English classes at your church. The team at Free English Classes at All Souls, we're really happy to help in any way we can. And so we've got, and I think I mentioned this at the conference, some churches may be intimidated about trying to set up a website, an email account, flyers. In fact, we say we'll do that all for you. We'll make sure you're listed on Google Maps. We'll make sure you're listed on Meetup. We've got the resources to do that. So if you wanted to become part of the network and open free English classes in your church, we are basically available for you to help. So you can go to freeenglishclasses.org/open, or feel free to email me. My name is Pelé, P-E-L-E, at freeenglishclasses.org.
No, that is fantastic, and you're right. We want our ministry not just to serve the community, but to an opportunity to share the good news of Jesus and the gospel. I love the connection, love the worksheet and the back page. All of that stuff is fantastic. The stuff you're just throwing out in terms of strategy and excellence and the way that we deliver this, mate, is inspiring and encouraging. So yeah, may God bless that ministry, and may many come to know Christ through it. And thank you for coming on the podcast and encouraging us, mate. It's great to chat to you, and I know I've thrown you in the deep end saying, come on, let's get you on the podcast. But
it's been a pleasure.
You will be a blessing to so many people. So thank you so much. So do get in contact with Pelé if there's something that you'd like to follow up on. Have a look at their website. Listen back to this if there's some helpful takeaway points for you on this. If you've got any questions for the church office, then please speak to us at questions@thechurchoffice.co.uk. We'd love to connect with you. If there's a way that we can serve your church in thinking through admin and operations, then we would love to be a blessing to you and connect with you. So please check out our website, and we'll see you next time on the podcast. All right, goodbye everyone.
Bye-bye.